All right, what's going on, family? Today, I want to talk about an update to my previous video about a week and a half ago where I talked about my stock picks for this year. And I also want to talk about one, in my opinion, low risk but possible three-bagger, 300% stock over the course of the year. And I want to talk about one high risk but possible, who knows, 5x, 10x by the end of the year. But in my opinion, definitely a 2 or 3x within the next month or two. So stick around if you want to hear all that. It's going to be fantastic. Okay, so obviously a lot of people have been talking about GME, GameStop. We had a rip up to 460, halted trading, and then we went down, and then we were fighting back and forth. On Friday, we closed at 325. Now we're all the way down at 95. So a lot of people are losing their heads and just freaking out about it. This video is not about GME, but just for full disclosure, I'm holding 100 shares still, and I'm not scared how low it goes. I'm going to hold it for quite a while to see if it either moonshots, or I'm holding it for the value play for the end of the year because I do think over time it's going to do really well. Now, let's talk about AMC and BB, BlackBerry and AMC movie theaters. So in my video, I talked about those. So I filmed around the 23rd, and on AMC, we were roughly around 350 at then. Now we're at 850. So after it kind of caught traction on Wall Street Bets and everything, it flew up to $18, $19, $20 almost on the 27th. Now, of course, that's probably the time when you probably should have sold if you were trying to, sell at the peak. But I wasn't really buying this for any sort of short squeeze or any sort of couple day turnover. I was really buying this to hold for the rest of the year because I really do believe that movie theaters are going to recover quite well. Now, that being said, it's really hard for me to say that this is still like a buy. If you look at this, just doing some really rough technical analysis, you can kind of see that there's sort of this trend line right here. We had these peaks that went out of it, but then you kind of have this trend line of going up. Now, does that mean that over the next year, we're going to see that go from $8.50 to $20 naturally? I don't know. For me personally, in my opinion, this isn't necessarily like a shoe-in buy anymore, like it was when I was talking about it during that video. And if you would have bought back then, you'd be sitting here going, it's okay, I lost these gains. It's still looking strong. We have good support right here. So AMC, I don't know about it. Now, moving over to BlackBerry, again, I made the video around the 23rd-ish, the 22nd-ish, something like that. And so you could have, I got in somewhere around $12. And then we had this crazy spike, and everyone got freaked out because we got up to like $30 at one point, and then we're down here at 11. Now, in my opinion, if you look back here before any of this hype, we were at 6, and then they started to get some traction because people were hearing about the news where they're planning to take their business with their QNX, with all their different technologies. Again, if you guys want me to do a BlackBerry deep dive, due diligence video, I would love to do it because there is so much to talk about with BlackBerry. I actually have a whole folder of notes about what BlackBerry is planning on doing over the course of the next few years to make their company amazing. And so for me, this is a value play. I personally still think that at $11.80, while it is hard to buy if you're looking, back here at $7.50, I do think that it is still a buy. This whole spike where it was up at 30 is scary to look at, but I do think by the end of the year, this is going to go up significantly. I personally price target somewhere around $30 to $50 because there is a lot of fundamental value play behind BlackBerry. Now, that's just talking about the stuff that kind of obligatorily had to get out of the way because I already talked about it and because it's so hyped in the news right now. But I want to bring two new stocks to you that are very, very interesting that I currently opened up a position in just a few days ago. Now, the first one is probably the most reasonable one that people are probably going to understand my thesis behind. This is Carnival Cruises. So CCL is the stock ticker. You guys probably know about this. Carnival Cruises, they do cruises all around the world. It's probably, I would say, the most known cruise line. And of course, when coronavirus hit, this stock took a dump because their whole business is based on people being around each other and tourism, and basically all that shut down during the coronavirus pandemic. So we were about 50 and then 42, and then March came around and it just dumped all the way down to 850. Crushed. They got crushed, right? Now, in my opinion, the way that I'm thinking about this one is Tourism is going to be a really booming sector once the vaccine pans out, once coronavirus is kind of swept under the rug. I know a lot of people still have a lot of fears, so this isn't like one of those things that's just like a shoo-in if you do still have those fears about coronavirus, because people are afraid that there's going to be a second strain or it's going to resurge or the vaccines won't work. I don't know. I think it's all going to work out. I think by the end of this year, we're still going to be talking about it a little bit, but for the most part, coronavirus is going to be gone. And by next year, maybe halfway through the year, coronavirus will be a thing of the past. Now, if that's true, and as long as Carnival doesn't go bankrupt, which I highly doubt, I do think that it's going to go back to where it was averaging. So I'm not even talking about the highs. If you talk about the highest point, it was at $71, $72 in January of 2018. If we just take kind of the average over here at like, let's say $42, that's a 2x from here. If we kind of look around here in like May, April of 19, that's 55, or even over here, December before the coronavirus news kind of came out, we were at 52, January of 2020. And so from here, I think even just going back to where they were is very much so possible. And I do think it'll take a year, maybe a year and a half. So for me, I purchased a position in this. I'll probably keep adding to this position. And for me, it's a long-term hold. Definitely not something I'm planning to or hoping that's going to flip in a month or two. It's something that I plan to hold for at least a year, probably close to a year and a half to 2 years, because not only do I think it'll get back to kind of its average, I do think that it'll reach all-time highs at some point in the next 2 to 3 years. Now, let's talk about my high-risk, scary stock. Ooh, scary, but fun, right? So we're looking at MicroStrategy. Now, a lot of people don't know about MicroStrategy, but MicroStrategy is a business intelligence mobile software website, or company rather, and it's head by Michael Saylor. Now, if you're into crypto at all, you know Michael Saylor recently converted his entire company's treasury to Bitcoin. So he bought over $1 billion of Bitcoin and continues to buy more Bitcoin every month. He recently just made another purchase of 10 million. A few weeks ago, he made a purchase of 10 million. He's very, very strongly a proponent of Bitcoin. He really likes Bitcoin. Now, the thing I like about this is if you already believe in crypto and Bitcoin and you don't really want to cash out your Bitcoin because one, you don't want to deal with taxes, or two, you want to hold on your Bitcoin for a long time, this is kind of a way of betting on Bitcoin. But even better than that is that the stock itself actually outperforms Bitcoin. It doesn't necessarily just track Bitcoin exactly, just like GBTC, for example, Grayscale. That basically just tracks Bitcoin. But if you look at this, this is crazy. You'll see right now we are trading at $735 on February 3rd. And if you look back to the beginning of the month, January 4th, it was at $425. So not quite 2 times, but pretty close, you know, something like an 80% gain, something like that. That's insane, because if you look at the Bitcoin chart over the course of a month, right now we're trading at 37,000. At the beginning of the month, we were trading at 33,000. So clearly that's not an 80% gain. That's, you know, roughly a 10% gain. Yeah, roughly a 10% gain. So as Bitcoin has moved up 10%, MicroStrategy has moved up 80%. Right now, in my opinion, Bitcoin is on a nice uptrend. We were trading in this 30 to 34 range. People were afraid it was going to go down, but now not only did it spike up when Elon talked about Bitcoin, but then it came back down, respected its support, and now is moving quite nicely past the 37 range, which is at 37.2 right now. If we can keep this range for the next couple days, or especially weeks, we are going to build stronger and stronger support at this level. And I do think right now we are due for Bitcoin to move higher and actually move above this range, which is amazing, because Ethereum right now is making all-time highs, and I do think that Ethereum is helping push Bitcoin up. Now, if this continues to happen, I believe that MicroStrategy is going to continue moving up higher and higher. But on top of that, I do think that even when Bitcoin, for example, if it broke this and went back down to that 30 to 34 range, clearly MicroStrategy is not affected negatively. So basically, when Bitcoin moves up, MicroStrategy moves up heavy. But when Bitcoin moves down a bit, MicroStrategy doesn't plummet. It just comes down slightly. You know, from 631 to 520 was kind of the highest point where it moved from high to low, and that's really not that bad. Is it a risky play? Yeah, it's probably on the riskiest side of things. For example, if Bitcoin decides to crash way, way down for some reason, I don't know why it would, or I don't know, if you're like a, really scared of Bitcoin and you just don't want to touch Bitcoin related things at all, then probably not the best choice. I did buy a new position this morning actually at open, which was, $706 where it opened today. It went all the way up to 750, kind of had this retest, and then now is at 737. So already today, it's moved a nice 7% up, which is pretty sweet. Now I'm going to keep adding to this position. And I do think over the course of the year, this is going to go higher and higher. Right now, they're doing a Bitcoin conference where they're helping other companies also get into Bitcoin. And I think that is going to be a catalyst to having Bitcoin go even higher. There's a lot of stuff to cover in terms of the Bitcoin news that's happened recently with like F2 pool and all this stuff. So I'll do another video with Bitcoin. But those are my new positions because I felt like I needed to do another video after all this craziness and hype that's happened with GME, AMC, BB, and Nokia. I feel like it's kind of changed that original video I made about a week ago. So I did kind of want to give you guys my new, interests and my new positions so that you can also look into these and make your own choices. So as always, none of this is investing advice. None of this is financial advice. I'm just giving you my opinions and stuff. And good luck out there. And I will see you for the very next video for a Bitcoin update.